What is going on, everybody? How's everybody doing?
that was
Um,
abbreviated intro.
yeah, very abbreviated. Well, it's Thursday, it's not Wednesday. This is Black and Blue Lives. I'm Prince Blue as always. That's my man Jay Step. And for the first time, we are on IG Live. So, want to say hello to the people, everybody that's on IG Live. So, um, what's up, Jay?
Enjoying my Thursday, man. I got a little too much sun today at the pool.
You
Doing some
got too
art,
much sun.
doing some R&R.
What do you mean you got too much sun?
And I can't take more than about 20 minutes out in the sun, man. It's starting to melt, turn red.
Don't you get tired of the sun, man?
I gotta get that vitamin D.
Oh, wait, listen. He didn't mean that. Pause. He didn't
D.
mean like vitamin DD. He meant like he meant like the vitamin D like in milk. For anybody try to start, any type of nonsense or anything.
Before they
But
take that 2 second clip and
yeah,
it's
you know how they'll do it. So finally, I got the IG working. Shout out to
mhm.
IG and everybody that's joining us in IG. Please, again, we are new to this technology thing. We still old people. We're getting used to it. So, shout out to everybody that's joining us on IG and everybody that's
Plus
joining us on Facebook, Twitter, Periscope, you name it. Thank everybody for supporting us. And as always, we want y'all to please make sure y'all subscribe to the podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the lives. Make sure you subscribe to the Black and Blue Lives Instagram account, our personal accounts, everything, so you could be kept up to date by everything that we got going on. No, well, if you were living under a rock on Monday, the Black and Blue Lives show was featured on Spectrum One News. Shout out to reporters Katie So and Jenna E. They did a whole feature about us, and it was very well done, and they made us look good, Jay.
no, it was great. It was we had a great time shooting it. Brought back a lot of memories, and I think it was pretty cool to get a drive around in the BBV.
Yeah, the big black van, man. I wonder when people were seeing that van drive up, they was like, "Oh shit, here we
Here
go
comes here
again."
come the feds. It'd be a
I wonder
roundup.
how many people. I wonder how many
I did see
people.
some people run out the back door of those apartment complexes.
Yeah, and how many people flushed their drugs by mistake, thinking that we were the feds?
Oh
We
yeah,
were
yeah,
the feds. Well, you shouldn't be having that shit in your house anyway.
absolutely.
But anyway, today's show is about um new school policing versus old school policing, and what we mean by that, Jay, you know, sometimes we've all had those stories where I got an echo. I don't know where it's coming from, but we've all rode with those vets where they'll be like, back in the day, we drove a guy around the corner, we handled it, then we let him go. Like you can't do that anymore. Um, or certain things to where you're not breaking any laws, you're not breaking any protocol, but the perception is terrible and it just causes unnecessary negative attention on the police department and just adds more strife between police and the community. Do you agree?
Absolutely, yeah.
So what we were talking about is I'm going to show everybody a short clip that's watching, and then I'm going to describe the clip to everybody. Well, let me describe the clip first. The clip you're going to see is a police officer on a traffic stop where he pulled over some individuals, and reasonable suspicion he he searched a couple of the people that were inside the car, and it produced an empty baggie. And uh, the police officer, when he found out there was nothing else and he was done with the empty baggie, he tossed the baggie back into the car of the people that he pulled over, and that's where the issue started. Let me play the clip for everybody.
Hey, bro, what's that?
What's what?
That you just threw in here.
What's what word?
I got you on camera, bro.
I got you on camera. We're all good.
Hey, bro, you just threw that in here.
Yeah.
I'll play again for those who if it was too fast.
Hey, bro, what's that?
What's what?
That you just threw in here.
What's what word?
I got you on camera, bro.
I got you on camera. We're all good.
Hey, bro, you just threw that in here.
Yeah.
All right. So as y'all can see, the officer was putting on gloves and he tossed the empty baggie back inside the car. Again, he didn't break any laws, he didn't break any protocol, but that's a bad look. Step, you have been on many stops where it's produced drugs and haven't produced drugs, and sometimes you've seen a lot of empty baggies. In your 20 years and in my 10 years, I have never tossed an empty baggie back inside a vehicle. Have you?
I don't know if I've never ever have, but most of the time I just throw it on the ground, litter. But and what's unique about that bag is what we call them, street terminology is corner bag, right? So what they do is they put weed or coke or whatever they want to in a bag, twist it up, and pull it off. So that's how they store the dope. So it looked like a corner bag. It looks like it's been twisted on the bottom and pulled off. Sometimes you can put pills. And then probably the officer searching the vehicle, picked it up, looked at it, decided, no residue, or he didn't want to really, there was nothing to it. So he just threw it back in there where he got it. And so the perception is, oh shit, we got an officer on video that just threw, in all reality, an empty plastic bag with maybe residue on it back into the car. And it gives a perception that, hey, the officer's trying to plant something.
Right.
So if I found something, a lot of times the best practice is to do one, I never search a car with people in it. You don't search a car with people still inside the vehicle. But if I find something, I address it. Hey, what's up with this? What's this bag? And so hey, I don't know, it's my cousins or whatever, and there's no residue on it. Technically, if there's residue on it, they could be charged with a misdemeanor possession of drug paraphernalia, and then throw it back in there. But a lot of times, you bag or something, you just throw it on the ground. But usually address it to kind of, I would say, hey, what's this for? And hey, maybe he looked at it and there was nothing, no residue or anything. He's like, I'll piss on it, just threw it back in because he didn't want to litter. Heaven forbid you throw something on the ground and then you're on video, you probably get more trouble than if you actually plant drugs.
Now, my opinion is you have to read the room, and he had like the times and now he just why would you toss that bag back in the car? I would either tell the person to throw it away, or I would just throw it in the trash myself, because you just don't want to get into that habit of throwing stuff back in the car, because as you can see, that 15-second clip, it looks like he threw something in the car, and you could perceive, oh bro, you threw evidence in my car, you trying to set me up. But the longer video shows that it was nothing in the bag. He knew it was nothing in the bag, and he tossed it back in the car because he didn't want to hold it in his hand anymore. But now you got the issue where you got people saying, well, he cops are putting evidence in our car and this, that, and the third. And it's just a bad look. And you have to be able to read the climate of what's going on. And you can't be caught slipping like that.
Yeah, or address it. So hindsight's 2020. But this day and age, if you take something out of a car, address it. Hey, what's up with this bag? I don't know. Okay, cool. I'm gonna put it back in here, so I'm not littering. You might want to throw it away when you get to where you're going or something. But that way, it's addressed. And uh, but I mean, it's just so hard to anticipate there's going to be an issue with certain things. You get in the habit of just, hey, I'm searching, I'm looking at stuff, and if I don't need it, I'm putting it back, right? So you kind of get in that habit. I mean, there's some days where we would hit up in the Belmont community when I was on Street Crimes in Eastway or in Steel Creek over the Street Crimes unit. We would search 10 to 15 cars a day. So you're just looking, we're looking for guns and drugs, right? And people with warrants. But flip a car, nothing's in there. If it's a consent search or a PC search, and then cut them loose. So, but I tell my guys, if you touch it, we have to address it. So don't touch it. Like if you see
if you're not ready to address it.
Yeah, if you see roach or something you don't want to mess with, just don't even touch it. Because once we touch it, we're responsible for it.
Right. And again, shout out to that department because the chief got ahead of it. He released a statement and he said all the things that we're saying. He said officer didn't break any laws. He didn't break any protocol, but we should not be in the business of throwing empty baggies back inside the vehicle. So he addressed all three.
Yep.
He let them know that this is a training moment. It's a teaching moment. But hey, I'm gonna back my officer. He didn't break any laws. He didn't break any protocols.
Sure. Yeah.
It looked
like
I was gonna say sometimes an incident is a it's a training lesson.
Mm-hmm. So absolutely. And so, but what a lot of people don't realize, how many times have we seen a corner bag as probable cause to search a vehicle? So what you're think about what you're doing is you're throwing that back in there. If I stop a car, right, and I go up to the vehicle and that's depending on the totality of everything, but more than likely seeing a bag twisted like that and torn off is going to give me probable cause to search the vehicle, which is a big deal. Which means if I say, hey, buddy, you always ask, even if you have probable cause, a lot of times it's just good to ask, hey, man, you got anything in the vehicle? You might want to take a look real quick and get you out of here. And they're like, no, go pound sand. You're like, well, too bad, get out of the car because that's going to give me PC because that's the way that always pisses them off. But because you have to articulate, if there's any smells, their demeanor. Does it appear to be any residue? Is that commonly here in Mecklenburg County? That's commonly how drugs are packaged here in Mecklenburg County is put it in a bag, twist them, and pull them off. So you see corner bags, and a lot of times you see a corner bag, there's nothing in it. You search the vehicle and you find dope. But so what you're doing is you're throwing that corner bag back in there, and if he gets stopped 10 miles down the road, that's giving another officer PC to search the vehicle if the totality calls for it.
Right. So, Steph, let me ask you this. When we talk about old school and new school policing, give me one old school tactic that you want brought back. Honestly.
So I'm huge on if you work in a neighborhood, you own it, right? We know who live in the community. We know who the concerned citizens are. We know who you know the area. So when we would go in Belmont, that's an area, that's a zone we're assigned. It was a high crime area. We go in there, we knew who the players were, right? If we see XYZ on the street corner, we knew they're slinging dope, right? More than likely. But there was a part back in the day where you had to own the neighborhood. If somebody tried to call you out, and that perception is out the window, and this you can't do anymore. But if I'm driving down the window and somebody said, "Hey, fuck 12," I'm stopping the car and addressing them. Hey, what's up? You got something to say? You hard or what? So, because that sounds bad and it looks bad, but what it does is think about it. If a week later I'm by myself getting surrounded by a crowd in a fight crowd, and they think, hey, I just chumped him last week, I could do it again. And they're more likely to try you if they think they could get away with it, right? Because they want street cred or whatever. But so what that does, and then if he tries you, then other people are going to try you, and so they have to know, hey, Step's fair, Prince is fair, but we don't want to fuck with him, right? He's not a play any games, right? So you have to, not be heavy-handed, but you just have to let them know, hey, I'm here to do a job. I'm here to protect people. If you disrespect me, it's all about respect, right? In the street, all about respect, right? So you respect me, I respect you. But if somebody calls you out, you gotta address it, and that doesn't look professional. And if somebody has on video, it doesn't look bad. But that's how you own the neighborhood. Then next time you drive through, more than likely you're gonna have that rapport and that respect. But that way, if I get out and there's 8 people standing around, no one's more than likely, hopefully is not going to try me. Where if they think, hey, I call him a pansy every time he goes by, they're more likely to try me, right? So, but that's so hard for regular people to wrap their head around. I'm driving down the road, hey, fuck 12, and you stop. Hey, you got something to say? What's up? And kind of call them out, and then what did they do? 9 times start walking away. But
and for those who think that, well, it's just words, you should be able to rise above it. A lot of times, fuck 12 means something's coming. It means something's coming. It could be a hint. Hey, cops are here. Get rid of it. Do what you do. Blah 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 blah.
Exactly, because we would do drug operations all the time when they see us drive through. Because when I was in Eastway, we had all the CRU or FM street crimes. We had the tinted windows, most of them. So they would call it 12. Call it 12 or say something trying to draw attention. Sometimes they're trying to draw attention if we're getting close to something, trying to get us to respond to them. But it's all street. It's all about street respect, man. These people that are dealing, they respect the people that are stronger than them, and they can't beef with. So it in the perception of it's bad, but it's totally different in survival at that point. You have to let them know, hey, I'm not going to try that dude. It prevents a lot.
For me, definitely one tactic I think I would love to bring back is the ability to allow officers to be themselves. And when I mean be themselves, I don't mean I mean show personality. Be who you are. Like you said, when you work a lot in a neighborhood and they know who you are, the energy is different. So like you said, you got officers now that's getting hung up for cursing during high stressful moments. That's one new thing now that I wish was gone. You have to allow these officers to control the room, so to speak, control the area. Hey, put that gun down. Hey, put the motherfucking gun down. Get your fucking ass on the ground. Get your fucking face, beat your face on the ground. Let's go. Because sometimes sir, get on the ground. Sir, sir.
They will try you. I swear to God. I've seen people at gunpoint before, and they're, the officers are given weak commands, and they're like, fucking shoot me. And then if somebody gets there and like, get on the fucking ground, and starts barking commands, and like, oh shit, this guy's not playing. So a lot of times it takes till they know you're not playing games before they respond. So you have, if you come out with a strong command presence, and sometimes it include when there's guns involved. I don't know how many uses of forces I've avoided, or people that I probably would have to shoot. That I avoided to have to shoot because I got aggressive verbally with them. Show me, and put them in midbrain, and so many times they literally say the look in your eye or the sound of your voice, I knew you would shoot me, and so they complied.
Yeah,
so,
and
I saved them. I didn't want to shoot. If I have to shoot somebody, I will, but I just saved somebody. I had an incident where I was in Nation Fort Airwood, me and an officer, and this guy lays over a bike, and I try to get out with him. He was driving stupid, and he tries to get back on the bike. He's reaching, so I'm like, telling him don't reach, and I draw down on him, and he pulls out a gun, and I'm getting ready to smoke his ass, and I'm yelling at him, and he tosses it, and I go, I have to tackle him, and we fight, and he tries to. Long story short, but I didn't have to shoot him. But he said afterwards, he said that I could tell in the sound of your. I would have tried you, but I could tell in the sound of your voice that you would have shot me, and so he didn't. So kept me from having to shoot him and possibly save my life just from being aggressive. And then what's funny is it ended up being a use of force because you fight somebody in the middle of the road, they're going to get scratched up, and they try to write me up. They wanted to write me up for cursing. And I'm literally got a guy pulling a gun at him in the middle of the road, and I'm tackling him, and I'm fighting with him. And one of the officers there got two other people at gunpoint, and it goes up the chain of command. They send it to the review board, and Lieutenant Square said, "Absolutely not. He should get a medal." He didn't shoot. But he made a good point. He said, if we shoot that person, they're probably going to say, "Well, okay, well the cursing's okay." But guaranteeing my shooting, there's a lot of fucking F-bombs being dropped in 7 minutes. But if you don't shoot them, then you get written up. So you take something that could be a learning tool for others, and then they try to turn it because they're worried about perception. Well, if this if this video ever gets released, how does it look if we have an officer cursing?
And you know what's funny, Steph? People don't understand how many laughs between an officer and a quote unquote suspect are shared after a foot chase. Sometimes after a fight, like, oh man, motherfucker, oh man,
Yeah.
like, man, one dude told me straight up one time, he's like, man, your big ass, man, I don't know what the fuck, man. And you're like laughing, you're like, you literally just fought this guy and put him in your car, and you're laughing all the way down to jail.
And like, then we come up and I've done it before. I look at them, look at you. I'm like, you let that officer catch you? Oh man, you better. And they'd be like, oh man, So I told people, like, just if you try to run, that's fine. As long as you don't try to hurt me or my people. If you want to get away, try to get away, have at it. Good luck. But you have that. It's a game, right? To these people,
It is.
It's a cops versus robbers is a game. We don't
Cowboys and Indians.
We don't want to hurt people. Most of the time, they don't want to hurt. Most of the time that someone resists arrest or
they just want to get away.
They're just trying to get away. They're not trying to hurt us. They don't want another charge. But you have that percentage that actually do, and those are the ones that are scary, and you have to really deal with harshly.
Yeah, and the weird thing about all this is, you and I, we get on here and we talk about, policing and things of that nature in between the community. I would say 90% of the time, police in the community is kosher. Like it's what we would consider harmonious because we're in the shit with them. To everybody else on the outside, it's chaos, but to us, it's harmonious. It's just that 10% that just don't give a shit and they want to prey on the other 90%. And that's why you and we did, and others continue to wear the badge to take care of that 10%. And, just make it better all around. But a lot of things, us as police, we have to help ourselves sometimes because it sucks, but we're in a new era.
Yep.
And throwing bags back in the car, you just can't do it. You got to adapt. You got to adapt.
Perception, but you have to take that in account and just if something happens and you make a decision, you have to be able to explain it. So you don't get any freebies anymore. They're not going to, just especially if it goes viral or there's a video, you're going to get screwed. So make sure you pay attention. You know what you're supposed to do. And just do it.
Absolutely. So, Jay, let's also talk about. We saw that a lot of we see that morale is still down, of course, but
did you get that email?
I think I did. Let me go back.
Well, you look at it. So FOP got the results back from their morale survey. It's very telling. It's what we expected it to be, right? So, but overwhelmingly, the there was distrust and people aren't happy with the administration. And they say that the majority of the stress from the job come from the administration. And that's what, them second guessing officers, making stupid policy decisions that affect officers negatively, not taking care of officers, not, so all that takes a toll, but it broke down a bunch of different questions. It was 85-90% negative towards the department. And I'm sure that's any major department, and there's a few squared away where they take care of people, but that's just a sentiment everywhere, man.
And that's the funny thing. It's not even office. Think about this. With everything that's going on between police and the community, the morale isn't down because of the community. It's down because of the administration.
Yep. And I think the city councils or in these other places, maybe the county managers who are putting people in place are getting yes men or women in those positions, and they're making policy decisions based on popularity, perception, and what's going to get them ahead instead of what's the best for the line women and men of their department.
Yeah, and I don't know, man. It's like you can complain to your blue in the face, or you can express that officers are unhappy, but it seems like to me, it's like, okay, but you're getting paid, go out there and do a job. And 90% of these officers, they do this because they love it. They don't do it because of the paycheck. So
did you
go ahead.
Did you see that video? I think it was in Detroit. It was in Michigan. So Detroit, Michigan, where the officer's cruiser sitting stationary and the car pulls up. The dude hangs out the window, starts popping rounds at a guy who's walking. So the police vehicle is 10 yards away, 15 yards away. And the guy comes out, looked like a marked vehicle. It probably was. So apparently 2 officers were right there. One of the suspects with a rifle started popping rounds at the guy. I think he shot the guy, didn't kill him. And the officers sped off, almost crashing into the suspect's vehicle, and took off down the street instead of addressing the threat. They just left. And they came back to check on the victim once the suspects left. But apparently they're on admin leave, which they should be. They're investigating.
They should be gone.
It's embarrassing. That's what they're hiring. That's the mentality.
That's cowardice.
That it is. That's the mentality they're hiring. So think about it. We said this before. If you're asleep at night and you hear somebody kicking your door down, and you're not Prince Blue, and you have means to protect yourself, you call the police. You expect people to come there. Well, more than once, I've drove to a scene where the officers should be engaging or going in, and they're not. They're waiting on somebody else or 3 other people, or they're just scared to engage. So it puts that civilian or the caller or the victim at risk of serious bodily injury or death, because you have to have that mindset. A lot of times, we've both done it. Sometimes you're like, hey, officer safety says this, but someone needs help. We have to go. We can't wait. You can. I mean, you'd be like, well, I just wanted to wait on another officer, and you let this person get killed in front of you. Or you just have to say, hey, you know what? We have to go in and take care of this.
I got dinged, Jay. It was a domestic call. I get there. A woman comes out, bloody, beat up, screaming. She's like, hey, my girlfriend's in there with a newborn baby. She just assaulted me. She's in there somewhere. I don't know where she's at. Okay, I see clearly an assault. You tell me it's a newborn baby in there, and you tell me it's a woman that's off her rockers in there with the newborn baby. So I go in, the baby's on the couch, like crying, like just sitting there, newborn. I'm talking about brand spanking new. I don't know where the other person is. So I go to clear the house. I get her out of the closet, prone her out, put cuffs on her. secure the baby. I'm literally like holding the baby, like while and then everybody else came. So ended up having to call CPS. CPS came and got the baby. Everything's on body cam. I got dinged because I went in there without backup.
And that's one of the things I talked about is you damned if you do, if you damned if you don't. If you didn't go in and that crazy lady killed the baby, they would throw you under the bus and be like, you just don't. You at those circumstances, you don't wait for back. You just go. So, but that's the individual officer's decision. A lot of times they neglect their duty and just don't go. But if there's been many times in some of these smaller agencies, I remember when I worked for Union County, I'd be 20 miles in the country going to domestic at 3 a.m. with Billy Bob and Ray,
Billy Bob,
and
Ray,
and beating their wives or whatever, and I'd have to drive up a mile dirt road with a shotgun in my seat, and there's no backup. If I call for help, it'd be 10 or 15 minutes. I've had people at gunpoint tasing them, fighting them, and my backup's 10 or 15 minutes away at best. So we're fortunate at CMPD where we don't run that a lot, but these smaller agencies, they do, and it's dangerous. And sometimes we don't have the luxury of waiting. I'm not going to sit back and when I know that a newborn could be at risk. And sometimes it's not protocol and it's not the safest thing to do, but the individual officer say, hey, I'm willing to risk my safety to save that child. That's why we signed it. It's a child, right? So if she's in there by herself, hey, let her tear shit up. That's fine. But
there was a newborn.
You did what you had to do, and no one could come behind you and second guess you and say that was a bad call, because ideally we'd wait for backup, but sometimes you can't. So, but that's the thing. You're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't.
Right, and you know what? I ate that counseling or whatever the fuck you want to call it. I was like, okay, I fucking possibly saved a kid here. Yeah. If this is what you need,
you slept well that night. Could you imagine if you didn't go in, the kid got hurt? I mean, how are you going to feel about yourself?
I slept well that night because that baby was taken into Child Protective Services, and I know for that night that baby was okay, secure, and well taken care of. So what do I care about a ding? Like, but that's just the funny thing about it, and that's the thing about being a police officer. You make that call when you have to make a judgment call like that. I mean, it's nothing like it, because this is what you signed up for. Like you said last week, I didn't sign up to sacrifice my life, but I will do what I have to do to make sure that people are safe, especially when it comes to a child. I mean, I was going in there. Like, I didn't even think twice. She said newborn in there. Like, I was like, I'm going. I'm going to clear the house, headquarters.
I was I responded to UNCC when they had the mass shooting there, but I remember the video of the officers. All the students and faculty were running out, and the officers are running full speed
and they were pointing in the direction of the shooter
to go. And you saw that in Vegas. You saw that you go Dallas, and all these other places.
Here at the shooting at the LEC.
Yeah. And you go and you take care of business. So the risk, but you have to get the people in the job that are willing to do the right thing and go, and they're capable when they go to handle business when they get there.
And you know what? You make a perfect point, because listen, I'm just telling y'all, and listen, of course we're going to be biased because we're both two former police officers, but let me tell you something. Until you can literally put your life on the line for somebody you don't know, I don't want to hear from you, especially when it comes to doing something like that. Now, do officers fuck up and you can have an opinion? Absolutely. But when it comes to stuff like that, there's no opinion. When it comes into officers and firefighters running into two burning towers to save people, you can't, it's nothing you can tell me about that. There's nothing. When
No.
when I'm hosting a show with somebody that had a person literally shot in the head next to them and then proceeds to empty all the clips he have to make sure that that officer is safe, himself is safe, and others are safe. You can't tell. That's why if somebody try to tell me something about Jonathan Stepp, I'll be like, you can't tell me anything about Jonathan Stepp. I know that guy. I know his character. I know what he's done and what he will do if he needs to. So that's why I think people need to be careful in being quick to pass judgment on a job where you literally can tie your shoe for the last time.
Yeah, we talked about that. And how many times have you been in incidents where you have to go in or go through a door or, you know, and you're like, you tell your in your mind like, this is going to suck. You know, like I might die. I mean, I don't know. I'm like, I might. And you're seriously like, you know, like I might die, but you just take a deep breath and you just go. You know,
Holy shit, this is gonna stink.
Yeah, it's that feeling, but you go. You. I don't know if it's courage, if it's responsibility, or if it's calling, but you just.
It's all of it.
And
It's
you just
all of
go.
it in one.
Yeah,
Because we could have been like in Detroit, Michigan, ran the other way.
run the other way.
Can you imagine that?
And not only just run the other way, but you almost crash into the suspects trying to get away. I mean, you've been better off to just. At first, I thought they were going to crash the car, and I'm like, just ran the car. I'm like, that's awesome.
Oh yeah, this is great. And then you're like, no, where they going? Hey.
Could you imagine being the dude taking rounds? You're walking, you're like, what's up, 12? And then all of a sudden, damn Honda Civic pulls up. You know, pop, pop, pop. And you're like, oh shit, the police are right here. I'm good. And then they just drive off.
There's no way that those two officers can come back. There's no way. There's no way. I get it. You got to do due process, all protocol.
I'm not
you got
saying
to
there's not
put them
times
on
to
leave.
tactically retreat. Sometimes, hey, you got to tackle, but that's not a tactically retreat. That's a
retreat, like the old pirate movies where they're shooting at each other and they realize, hey, we're outnumbered.
She just throws, or he or she just throws a gun out the window as a
retreat. It's terrible, man.
But the community who we ultimately work for and answer to, that's not what they expect us to do.
No.
And there was one in Chicago a couple weeks ago. There was a video release where a guy came out with a gun. He was on a DV and he ran down the steps. And the female, he thankfully didn't kill the female, but he walked over to the female. Was like, I should kill you and stuff. And the officer was just running down the steps, you know. and it's okay. Yeah, I've been scared. You know, we've both been in shooting. It's scary.
Yes,
yeah.
I've been scared.
And if you're not scared sometimes keeps you alive. But if you're not scared, you're a psychopath. But it's how you control it and being scared and
harnessing
the job. Yeah, but you have to do it, and you can't. So you have to. That quote I read perfectly 2 weeks ago with one of the presidents. Remember about being in the arena?
Please don't ask me to remember.
I don't know, but Theodore Roosevelt. But that was a perfect quote about don't judge the men in the arena. They're under, to summarize.
Don't start.
They're under the pressure.
Did you say the submarine? What'd you say?
To summarize. I didn't want to quote it verbatim.
Summarize.
I quoted it verbatim last time, but it was fresh in my mind. But this time I'm like, you can't, you're in here doing, the fighting or it's easy to do. It's easy to say, hey, Larry Bird should have shot the 3-pointer. Right. But if you're not in the field, you can't second guess.
Yeah. Right. It's like, and we all do it. We do it with sports. We be like, "Oh, you dummy! Like, why'd you throw it there?" But we weren't
there.
See
because you got a 6'2" lineman going like this coming over you. So, and then, I said this before. This is a great analogy. I think they're like, "What's it like being a police officer? Like playing Tetris? You know how you have to make a split-second decision, and if you're playing with somebody beside you, every time you want to punch them in the face, oh, you should have went. You should have went. I'm like.
Oh, when they're looking over your shoulder, they're like, "Why did you put it there?
You should have put it
over here. You got 4 lines." And I'm like,
You can't get past level 1. So, but that's what happened. So that's a perfect example of how quick you have to make decisions, and sometimes you make the wrong one, and unfortunately for law enforcement, you could end up in prison, dead, or civilly sued, or out of a job, or I mean, there's so many things could go wrong at any shift. You could be eating dinner and shit hits the fan, and it could be life changing for not only for you but for somebody else. You have to be prepared all the time. Be mentally and physically prepared.
Jay, where do you stand on like we talk about mental health a lot. Like me and the wife was watching Law and Order the other day, and on one of the episodes, a guy had a gun to an officer's head, and Officer Munson, not Munson, Lieutenant Benson was coming up the steps, and she literally shot the guy in the head, and the blood splattered on the officer's face. And in the next episode, you know, she was acting kind of weird or whatever. And the guy was like, hey, it's been a week since you're shooting. It's okay to not be okay. And I immediately thought about you and I, how we get in these shootings and we don't even process it. We jump right back into the job. And I'm like, that has to do something to you. It does. But being police, we're comfortable going forward.
Yeah, and you want to show everybody you're okay by getting back. The sooner I get back, you know, it's like you're injured. You know, you're you're in a football game playing, you get injured, but you want to get back in the game, right? You're hurt, you're not ready to go back, but you want to get back. You don't want to leave your people out there playing by themselves, right? So that's kind of the mentality that I know we both had, was we got to get back out there. And damned us, you know, we're okay, but the game's still going on, and I'm not sitting on the sidelines like I did in high school.
And that's you know what? To be a police, like, you have to have some level of I don't know which term to use, psychopathy or sociopathy, because the shit you got to deal with, compartmentalize, lock away,
and shit all the time,
and
man.
And go to the next. It requires a level of darkness that most people won't understand.
You know, brain splattered on, you know, somebody blows their face off, and then the next call, 10 minutes later, you got a minor fender bender, and you get there in Walmart parking lot, and they're yelling and cussing at you because it took you.
What took you so long?
To get there? You want to be like, you know, they have no clue, you know. So, or it could be a death of a baby, multiple things. I mean, just never anything good. Your whole shift is, unless you go to a store and somebody says, "Hey, thank you for your service," which is, depending on what part of town you work, is rare and far between. Everything you deal with is negative.
Right. And imagine, like, you get cussed out because of a $20 fender bender or barely a scratch. And sometimes you just want to be like, I just fucking came from two people with their brains splattered next to each other and some weird ass pact to meet each other in Babylon in the afterlife. And you're complaining about your fucking Mercedes being scratched. Are you kidding me? You know why it took me so long? Because I just had to wash brain matter out my uniform. Sometimes you just want to tell
every
people
time
that.
You got to do that. You have to, you know, you get brain or blood matter on your uniform, and you got to take it to property control, switch it out, and put it in a bio bag. Or your boots, you got, you know, you're stepping in brain.
Brand new uniform, brand new boots. Oh, boots like, that you broken in, and you love
people
them.
Don't understand that. It's like, for us, oh shit, I got to go to property control. But if you stop and think about it, I've got to go to property control because I've got some dude's brains all over my boots, right? So I've got their thought of childhood in my middle of my soul or something. You know what I'm saying? So that's. We don't have the opportunity or the chance to stop and process that. We just keep going, right?
Yeah.
So, and then you don't realize it affected you to, like, a week later when your wife makes spaghetti You're like,
and it's
diced
not right.
tomatoes. I'm like, I'm
And
not
you
eating that.
slap the plate off the table.
I'm like, I'm not eating that.
Get that red shit off the table. She's like, what's wrong with you? Like, you're like,
Yeah. So,
just looking at you like you're
but
crazy, man.
just my thing is just the administration, the public. We the officers know they're held accountable, but give them some grace. Give them some room to be human, to have some emotions. We're not robots. We can't, but one of my pet peeves I hate is when somebody stops a car and they go, "Hello, sir. My name is Sergeant Stepp with CMPD. The reason I stopped you today was," that's how they teach it, "was your left tag light was, I don't know what, but you sound like a robot." And they're like, "Who's this person?" Be human. Hey, man. Hey, what's going on? How are you doing today, man? What's up with your tag light? Just talk to them like you don't have to be.
All right, hey, man, you did like 90 past me. Where you going?
You
Like
violated.
sometimes they really don't.
You violated code 20-56 or something like what? They don't know what you're talking about. So
Yeah, like one day, like it was a guy legit like sleep at the light. I walk up, and one of the most dangerous things, we've had an officer that's no longer with us. Um, Not because of that incident, but one of the incidents was he woke up a drunk driver and he ran over and broke his leg in multiple places. So it's very dangerous to wake up somebody sleeping behind the wheel. So I go up to him and I'm like, "Hey man, you okay?" He's like, "Well," and all you see is scrubs and his badge of a hospital, and he's like, "I worked a double. I could have swore I was driving home." And I was like, "Man," I was like, "You've been at this light through like 5 cycles." And he was like, "Officer, I'm so sorry." And I was like, "Well, this is a crappy neighborhood, so I can't tell you to pull over here." But I was like, "You got anybody to come get you?" So call his wife, and his wife's like, "I told him to stay there. It was late. I don't know why he tried to drive home, but he was trying to get to her, because he haven't seen her, and he worked a double." So, he just chilled out at the gas and got himself some coffee, soda, whatever. And then, he got his bearings about him and he drove off. But the fact, I was gonna walk up on him and be like, "That's dangerous what you're doing." Like dude just worked a double at a hospital. Like,
and then next thing you know, 2 days later, you got a GSW, and you get there, and he comes in. He's with his scrubs on, be like, "Oh, it's you." And you're like, "Oh shit!"
Or he's like, "Yeah, I gotta go on your colon." And I'm
cut
like,
it.
"Dude,
I'm done.
I'm just
Tap
here
out.
for hypertension. Like, why are you going in? Why are you going in my colon? That you don't piss off.
Dude.
Don't piss off your mechanic, people who cook your food, or hospital workers. You just don't do it because they're gonna make you pay." But it closes, Jay. Pretty much we talked about the new school policing versus the old school, and how perception is changing the way police have to not necessarily enforce the laws, because the law is the law, but how you have to interact and get there.
Have to be gentle, big gloves,
Right. So in closing, Jay, like, what advice would you give to officers out there right now in the viral era, in the I'm filming you, well, I'm filming you. How what would you tell officers um how to navigate through this era right now?
is even if you don't think you are, you're being recorded. Always assume if it's a traffic cam, you're being recorded. Be professional as you have to be. If you have to punch somebody in the face, punch them in the face. If you have to curse, curse. You got to do what you got to do. But the number one thing I tell people is know the laws, what you can and can't do, and know your policies. And try laws supersede policy, so try to stay within the law before the policy. But sometimes you have to break policy to stay alive. Sometimes some policies are stupid, but know both of those and act like you're recorded and try to make the best decisions you can. That's all you can do. You're not going to be perfect. There's no officer that could go through the shit that day after day that we go through and do everything perfect. You're going to make mistakes, but know what you can do. That's the main thing. Know what you can do, what you can't do, and that way you have the confidence when you approach and somebody gets in your face recording or whatever. You know how to act and treat people with respect, right? Sometimes you call somebody a douchebag, call them a douchebag, but for the most part, most people aren't. And let's not treat most people like the douchebags. Let's save that for the 5% that we deal with that need to be called douchebags.
Yeah. My advice would be just whatever the salty 40-year guy told you they used to do, don't.
Yeah, don't do it.
There's a reason why they used to do it and they don't do it
So
anymore.
real quick, there when I was in a not so working district when I first came over to CBD, there's a guy from the West Side, and people know here in Charlotte, the West Side is aggressive, the South Side is not so much. So, but
No.
this officer there's like a fight crowd, and he gets out and he's like, "Get the fuck out of here!" He's yelling at him. And just in the middle of the street, yelling at everybody, and the officer's like, whoa, we can't talk to people that way here. But the same department, but just in a different area. But it's funny. But he's like, what? That's how we do this, right? No, it was like, no, you can't do that.
And they legit be confused. They be like, "What? I can't say get the fuck out of here, you dumbass motherfucker." Like, no, no. Especially if you're at a Starbucks, it's over a misunderstanding at the register. Like, you got to read the room.
And the thing now is, you have these people intentionally trying to go
push you
or get these officers involved in conversation. And so that's why you stop a car. Hey, I need to see your license registration. I don't have to show you my license. And they don't argue with them. They have to give it to you. Either, all right, that's cool. Or you give me your license and I'll take you to jail. I'm not arguing with you.
I'm not going to argue back and forth with you.
Yeah, all right. Well, he won't give it to you. All right, get out of the car, pull him out, take care of business, right? And then
hey, well, get out of the car. Why? Because I'm about to place you under arrest for not giving you a license. Yeah. Hold on. Here's my
verbalize. That's another thing is,
you
don't see that a lot. You have to say, hey, quit resisting. What are they teaching you? Quit resisting. Show me your hands. You're under arrest. Before you put hands on somebody and you're planning to arrest them, sometimes you grab somebody and they start fighting. You don't, but just you're under arrest. Put your hands behind your back. Use that word arrest. Arrest is very important to verbalize, but use those verbal commands. So if you're being videotaped and I have to punch somebody in the face, I'm just sitting there punching them in the face. That's one thing. But right, if you have the audio saying, "Hey, put your hands behind your back. You're under arrest. Quit resisting," and the guys it shows them resist, and I punch them in the face. That gives a whole new spin on things. So right, you tell
a lot of officers just be doing things, and I'll be like, "What's going on in this video?"
Tell people what you want them to do. If you can't just sit there and beat on them, right? This isn't WWF, right? You have to tell them, "Hey, put your hands behind your back." And then if he's not putting his hand, and then you have to punch, put your hands behind your back. And you're telling him what to do, and he's not doing it, and that's response. But if you just sit there and just start hitting him because he's not doing it, so just articulate, know what you can do, and say it out loud.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. Well,
do we have a Facebook yet?
No.
I'm supposed to do that, right?
You're supposed to do that, yes. But we have an Instagram page, so find us at the Black and Blue Lives Instagram page.
Put in Black and Blue Lives.
Black and Blue Lives. At Real Prince Blue on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. He is TOG4280 on TikTok and Step 4280 on Instagram.
And I think you have to put the @
Yeah, you have to do the @ Yes.
Or if you put a space between TOG.
Yes.
But yeah, so.
I am working on a website for us, man. This stuff is tedious, man, but I'm gonna try to do it. Listen, I'm not a super professional, but we trying to keep this budget low, and until we get more support, then we can raise the budget.
We need somebody to come out and say they're gonna throw us some dinero or some free work, so we get some stuff up and running.
And I need y'all to make sure you please subscribe to the podcast. It's on Google, it's on Apple. It's so easy. Just
Follow.
ask Siri, ask Google, leave a rating. Please, like we still
Only if it's
only
good.
have 3 ratings. We were just on the news. If the news didn't make you want to subscribe to this podcast and figure it out. But what's happening is you guys love the live, and we love doing the live, but the live is just a supplement for the podcast. We're not doing numbers like those other people out there that's that's doing like 80,000 80K people watching them, like, so you guys got to support us, man, so we can keep doing this and keep reaching out. And remember, check on one buddy. Just ask them, are they okay? One family member, one friend, somebody. Just ask them. It could be a random person you see on the street. You might see them looking down. You be like, hey, you okay, man? You never know what they may open up to you and say, yeah, I was thinking about, putting 2 in my brain, but thanks for asking. Like, you never know. Just ask somebody, are they okay? And just
If they
go
put
from
one in
there.
their brain and they got time to put another one in, they're
Listen, ID channel got me. I be bugging. It's whatever.
Yeah, if you got more than one round in your head, it's probably not a suicide. It's probably
that's ID channel. And they be swearing up and down. I'm like, wait a minute, he had time to. Okay, cool. But thank you everybody for joining us. As always, this has been fantastic. This has been great. We got a lot of stuff coming up. We're working on a lot of things behind the scenes. We'll figure it out. Thank you everybody for listening to us. And please see us next week. We'll be here Wednesday, hopefully, if I don't get bombarded by family again. But thank you everybody. We are, as you can say, I guess we are out. Yeah, let's just be out.
Yeah. Look, black and blue lines. Yeah.